Hi everyone, Sarah here with Signals Everywhere, and today I wanted to introduce to you the OP25 mobile control head. This is an application I've been working on for quite a while. It's still not 100% finished, but I do have a working copy available for you that you'll be able to use at the end of the video. And essentially what this is it allows you to take OP25, run a Raspberry Pi image, and with nothing more than your phone, an SDR, and a Raspberry Pi, you'll be able to essentially use this as a full digital communications receiver. So just like your typical $1,000 radio scanner, for a fraction of the cost, you can just use the OP25 mobile control head. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. You're watching Signals Everywhere. Don't go anywhere. I've been working on various aspects of this project since early 2019, and it all started with displaying OP25 data on an LCD screen. This was cool, but I knew we could do a lot more. By 2021, I had developed a fully featured application that worked on the Raspberry Pi with an external display kit. It was functional, but it was also expensive, a bit clunky, and that's really when I decided to shift my focus to building an Android app, aiming for simplicity and ease of use. After taking a short break from the internet, I'm now back at it with a renewed passion and goal to make the OP25 mobile control head as simple and user-friendly as possible. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire process from setting up the Raspberry Pi and SDR to installing the Android app, and by the end, you'll have your very own digital mobile radio scanner up and running. So whether you're a radio enthusiast or just someone who loves tinkering with tech, stick around. Let's dive into the OP25 mobile control head project and see what it can do. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get everything set up. First thing you'll want to do is get an antenna put up somewhere. I just stuck it here for convenience, just to get everything up and running for this demonstration. You'll want to have your Raspberry Pi with the image that I created, or you can run the install script that I'll provide as well. You'll need the RTL SDR. You can use other SDRs, but I'm using the RTL SDR v3, and that is what's currently supported with the software as I've tested it. You want to have that, of course, connected to your Raspberry Pi, and then your antenna connected to the RTL SDR. So very simple setup. The only other thing we have to do at the moment is we're going to attach power and then the car stereo audio. And once all that's set up, this is going to boot up, and we'll need to connect to this device using an access point that it'll set up on boot called OP25 MCH. So let's switch over to the phone. I'll show you how to configure the basic settings, what we support at the moment, and the future of the application and what I'd like to do with it. We'll see you there in just a moment. Let's go ahead and open up settings on our Android device. We'll have to go over to our Wi-Fi settings, and we need to connect to an access point called OP25 MCH, which stands for the OP25 mobile control head. And the password for this is really simple. It's going to be mobile with a capital M, control with a capital C, and head with a capital H. This will be all one word, so mobile control head. This will get you connected to the Raspberry Pi's hotspot, and then from here we can go ahead and fire up our application and get that configured as well. Now that the control head software is up and running, you can see that it immediately makes a connection with the Raspberry Pi and connects to the OP25 instance that we have running there. And so what it's going to do is immediately start scanning the current system that is set up. Now, by default, we are just loading the default trunk.tsv file of rx.pi within OP25. You see it says Ashtabula County there. That is static data that we can manually change, and that's going to be more automated here in the future. Now, before I show you how to configure this for your own system, I wanted to show you just a quick rundown of the user interface and what I'm planning for it in the future. So here we have our large display, and this is meant to be a primary display that you can take a look at while you're driving around in a vehicle, or if you just want to have this on your desktop and be able to easily and quickly see what's going on a given system without having to have a really complicated user interface to get that done. Now we also have the detailed display, and you can see it's completely blank right now, and that's because I haven't put the focus on this just yet. But this is going to be a more detailed display that can give us increasingly more information about the particular system and site we're connected to. Next we have the scan grid. This is one of my favorite features. This is actually something that, if we take a look back at the older application that I worked on, the scan grid has always been a way to essentially load up a list of different talk groups that you're interested in listening to, and make it very easy to kind of switch out on the fly what channels it is that you want to listen to, and then this will blacklist everything else that you're not currently switched into. So right now this is just a bunch of tabs and buttons, but I made this to resemble the scan grid from my original application because I do intend to port this feature over. I think the scan grid is a very nice and convenient way to easily update what talk groups we want to listen to when we are on the go. Next up is site details, and again this one is just kind of placeholder text at the moment, but this will give you information on the site, its location, how well you have signal to that particular site, and different information such as the RFID, the WACN, and just general information that we might want to include regarding the site that we're currently listening to. We also have a log file, and this is in a scroll view, so we'll be able to scroll back and forth. Now I will admit that there is a bit of a bug in scroll view at the moment for our log entry. We do have duplicate logs being created. It's a bug that's popped up a few times and one that we will certainly be rectifying. And then finally, let's go ahead and configure the application in settings. Now you see we have our local config. This one is mostly for development settings. So let's go ahead and switch over to OP25 config, and this is where we want to set up our actual system information. So you see we have some example information here, and what we want to do is hit read config, and what read config is going to do is it's going to grab information from the actual OP25 instance's trunk TSV file, and then we can edit these values and write them back to the OP25 instance. In my case, we are going to be connecting to Ohio Mark, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in for our system name. We will leave the site name alone, and then we would put in the frequency for the control channel we're going to listen to. Now, the control channels are comma delimited so that you can put in more than one control channel. However, I am having an issue at the moment where we're only able to add one control channel at a time, but that will be fixed in the very, very near future. Let's go ahead and hit write config, and that will then write the configuration details to the application. Now you see it's still looking at the P25 system, and that's because, at least as of currently, we need to restart the software in order to get this to reload everything for us. However, I will modify this down the line so that writing the config will do this automatically and will resolve the need for a manual restart. But for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and restart the app, and you will see that we will now be scanning the Ohio Mark system once we are connected back to OP25. And from here we're able to monitor the system, listen to incoming calls, and essentially use it as a standard mobile scanner or digital receiver. And of course, for those who are interested, I also have a separate app called the OP25 display, and that is for those who are interested in simply taking the OP25 instance that they already run, that's already configured the way that you like, and displaying that information on a basic screen, just so you can see it nice and neat on an Android device. And maybe you don't want all the extra features that I'm working on implementing, and you just want to be able to see it. The OP25 display should work quite nicely for you, and it's modeled after the same design that I have shown you already with the OP25 mobile control head. So if you're interested in that application as well, it'll be in the description down below. And with that said, I would love to hear any feedback that you have on this application, anything that you're interested in seeing feature-wise, or you know, it is on GitHub, so if you're interested in helping me develop the application or just making the code a little bit more readable, that is absolutely appreciated. Now, on a side note, I want to thank everyone who's been there, all 31,000 of my subscribers who have stayed despite my very long hiatus from the internet. I want to thank you all for your time and for being there. Now, I've had a couple people ask me about this, so I wanted to go ahead and throw it in at the end. But at one point, I did end up deleting my Patreon, and so I do not have that old Patreon anymore. But I have asked people if there are different ways that they could support me, and so while that support is absolutely appreciated, the original Patreon is not there. So the new Patreon is going to be at patreon.com/SarahRoseLives. There will be a link in the description to that as well, and I will have a link to other potential donation methods if you're interested in supporting me financially. Other ways you can support me is to like this video, leave a comment, give me comments and suggestions for this software, and let me just know what you want to see. So currently I only have an RTL SDR V3 and a V4, and that is honestly the only radio equipment I have at the moment. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up some more stuff as time goes on and continue to make some great content for you guys. I apologize if this video was a little clunky. It's been a while, but hopefully things will improve over time. Thank you again for being there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.